Thank you, councillors. Welcome to councillors, members of the public and staff, present in person, joining us online and watching via YouTube this evening. I declare this meeting of Bayside Council open at 7:02 p.m. Councillors and those present in the chamber are reminded to conduct themselves in a polite and professional manner, keep communication factual and use appropriate language and tone. Our meetings are live streamed and recorded via YouTube. Please therefore treat everyone with dignity, respect and do not use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Defamations do apply to addresses in the public forum. Councillors are also reminded of obligations to conduct yourselves in a professional and respectful manner under the obligations of Council's Code of Meeting Practice in the interest of good governance and to adhere to meeting etiquette. I remind all present that the YouTube video recording is an official record of Council and may be made available to persons upon request in accordance with the Government Information Public Access Act. No other recordings are permitted and all present should ensure that there are no video recordings, audio recordings or photographs taken. In case of emergency, please follow the instructions of the Council staff, exit via the Town Hall foyer and proceed to the evacuation point. With that being done, Merry Christmas and welcome to our last meeting of the year. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal and Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects on behalf of Council elders past, present and emerging. I would now like to invite Pastor Harper from Bay City Church to open the meeting in prayer.
Thank you. Just bow our heads, close our eyes. God, we just acknowledge first up that you are the reason for the season, and we thank you for your birth, and we thank you for the excitement that it brings to us and our community. But also, God, we acknowledge that this time is not a good time for all. And we acknowledge, God, that this time sometimes highlights the lack and the need. And God, we pray for those families, those individuals that find themselves in those places. And God, we just also lift up to you the charities, the many charities across our LGA that serve, God, these people with practical needs and in ways emotionally, God, to support them. God, we pray for a greater strength, greater volunteer base, and God, that you would support all their efforts. And finally tonight, God, I would just like to acknowledge the commitment of our Mayor, Ed McDougall, God, and all our councillors, every one of them, God. God, we just thank you for their servants to our community. We thank you for their service to governing our community, God. And God, I thank them for their time, their effort, their weekends and their hours spent. And God, I pray for a refreshing holiday and break and a time with family. And God, we just pray also finally for protection for all of us or any of us that are choosing to go away. In your mighty name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Councillors' condolences. I've received no condolences. Does anyone, councillor, have any condolences to put forward? Apologies. We've received no apologies tonight. I believe Councillor Bezic and Councillor Disco are on the way. But we have some very special presentations to make tonight, councillors, to the winners of our Christmas card and flag design competition. So I'd like to invite councillors up to join me while we present the winners of the absolutely fantastic results that have come out of these, and I'll pass over to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So for the Christmas card and the flag design competition, we recently invited residents to submit their designs for our 2024 Bayside Christmas cards and street flags. Choosing winners was a very difficult task due to large numbers of quality entries received. We have quite a few budding artists and some very creative people in Bayside. But 2 winners were chosen for designs that will proudly fly on Bayside's flagpoles. As I call your name, please come up and receive your certificate and a photo with the Mayor and councillors. Our winners are Ilaria Marcella from Brighton Les Sands. And Tiana Noy from Botany, who was also a winner last year. So for the Christmas cards, there are 4 winning designs. When I call your name, please come up and receive your certificate. Our talented winners are Arisha Mishra from Pagewood, Hannah Hon from Arncliffe, and I'm afraid Hannah can't be here tonight, but we'll get her certificate to her. Clementine Schofield from Botany. And Alicia Wu from Walleye Creek. All the councillors, you'll get your exercise tonight. They're all so tiny. They're so cute. This year, we invited residents to nominate their homes or their neighbours' homes for our 2024 Bayside Christmas Lights competition. 6 winning Christmas light nominations were chosen, so when I call your name, please come forward and receive your certificate and your $1,000 prize money and a photo. Maria Flaudas from Cogra. Oksana Bartaneva from Hillsdale. Paula Pena from East Lakes. Therese Tannen from Bexley. And Tiani Rubal from Brighton Lassans, who can't be with us tonight. She's an apology, but we'll get her certificate to her. And that brings us to the grand winner for the Best Christmas Lights in Bayside who will win another $1,000 towards their electricity bill, Therese Tannen from Bexley. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lopez. Paulo Lopez? No? Did we miss one?
Yes, I think we might have missed that one.
All right. Is there one more? Oh, Paulo Lopez from Bexley. If Paulo's here, we also have. Oh, we have Paulo's on the screen. Sorry. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. It's a crowd.
Thank you, councillors, and congratulations all, and thank you for getting involved in the Spirit of Christmas scenario. It's very much appreciated, and it really makes a difference. Whether it's on our flagpoles, Christmas cards, or lighting up our streets, it really does make our area feel very magical. So, with that Spirit of Christmas in mind, does any councillor wish to make any disclosures of interest? No, nothing this evening. Any disclosures of interest, councillors? Councillor Poulos? No. Councillor Douglas? Councillor Barlow? Disclosures of interest? Councillor Awada?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Item 11.1, the minutes of the city planning. CPE 24038 and CPE 24039 declare conflict of duty on the basis that I'm a delegate on the Sydney Eastern City Planning Panel, and I'll leave the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Awada. Councillor Disco? Councillor Naji?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The same on 11.1, CPE 24038 and CPE 24039. Declare a conflict of duty on the basis that I'm a delegate on the Sydney Eastern City Planning Panel, and will leave the chamber when the voting is on. Thank you.
Councillor Naji, Councillor Brederhoft, Councillor Savranovsky, Councillor Kasim, Councillor Strong, Councillor Boudeleau, Councillor Bezic, Councillor Mosi, Councillor Curry, myself, nothing. Sorry, councillors. We do have a late mayoral minute this evening. Apologies, I believe it's been circulated. Very pleased to announce that council has just received a grant of $8.65 million that we found out about this afternoon. So well done to the hard-working staff and the excellent grant writers within council, and thank you to the federal government. I'm pleased to advise that Council has been awarded a dollar-for-dollar grant towards the naturalisation of the Spring Street Drain at West Botany Street, Arncliffe, under the Federal Government's Urban Rivers and Catchments program. This provides the funding for a major component of the Riverine Park Master Plan that was adopted by our Council, and it's the largest single grant Council has received to deliver a significant environmental project, so it's a real win for the community. This project will remove 700 metres of concrete and renaturalise the Spring Street Drain, restore the ecological function of the Spring Street wetland, and create 3 new wetlands within Riverine and Barton Parks in Banksia, west of Sydney's airport. Balancing the drain's stormwater and drainage functions with the site's ecological needs, the project will increase habitat for the threatened green and golden bellfrog, help protect and restore nationally listed threatened ecological communities, including our temperate coastal salt marsh and our endangered coastal swamp oak forest, and is a real win for the parkland in our community. So I'd just like to commend the staff for that and congratulate Council. It's a big win. Council, is there any discussion?
I just wanted to
Councillor
thank the staff for that. I mean, I think it's amazing to be able to really recognise the natural resources that we have in Bayside and get them protected. I went for a walk along some of the M6 active transport corridor that is still locked away, but there is so much potential for us to create this green corridor right from basically the Cooks River all the way up to the George River along that M6 corridor, and this is a really key component of that. So I just want to, congratulate the staff and thank them for their hard work on this.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Well said. Councillor Naji.
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, I also want to congratulate the staff. They always do a wonderful job. And I'm also happy and pleased that whether it's the federal or the state, and it doesn't matter which party they belong to, Liberal or Labor, that we love the grants, and congratulations again for the staff. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. And there's a federal election coming up, so we should lobby all sides of politics to make sure that we get our fair share in Bayside. Councillors, any further discussion? No. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Councillors, we move to items by exception. We'll note that where a division is required for planning matters and items where councillors have a pecuniary or significant interest, we'll deal with these individually regardless. Councillors, are there any other items you wish to pull out and deal with individually? Councillor Poulos.
CP 24.025.
Yep. Councillor Douglas. Councillor Barlow.
CWA, it's a confidential item,
048. Yep. Councillor Awada. Nothing from me, thanks. Councillor Dusku. Councillor Naji.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. CP 24.024, the amalgamation community consultation results. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brederhoft. Councillor Savranovsky. Councillor Kasim.
Yes, I was going to pull out the same one, 2404.
Councillor Strong. Councillor Boudeleau. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Curry. Myself, nothing. Thank you, councillors. All other items will be dealt with by one resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Awada, seconded Councillor Morrissey. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. There are no registered speakers for the public forum tonight, so we move to the reports of council, starting with CPE 24.038. Councillor Awada and Councillor Naji would like to leave the chamber. Thank you, councillors. We have a officer's recommendation before us to have a mover and a seconder. Moved Councillor Morrissey, seconded Councillor Curry. Motion needs to be dealt with by way of division. Is there any discussion, councillors? No, thank you. Call the division. Councillor Poulos. We might need to speak up. 4. Yep. Councillor Douglas, 4. Councillor Barlow, 4. Councillor Dusku, 4. Councillor Brederhoft, 4. Councillor Savranovsky, 4. Councillor Kasim, 4. Councillor Strong, 4. Councillor Boudeleau, Councillor Bezic, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Curry, and myself, 4. Passed unanimously. Thank you. We move to item CPE 24.039, Supplementary Report, Cooks Cove Voluntary Planning Agreement. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Morrissey, seconded Councillor Discu. Councillors, is there any discussion? No. Once again, by way of division, Councillor Poulos for Councillor Douglas.
Sorry, I'm a little lost. Which one are we up to?
The Supplementary Report, Post-Exhibition Report, Cooks Cove Voluntary Planning Agreement.
Oh, I thought we just voted on that.
There are two separate items on the
Four.
agenda.
Thank you.
Yep. Councillor Barlow, Councillor Discu, Councillor Brederhoft, Councillor Sabranovsky, Councillor Kasim, Councillor Strong, Councillor Boudeleau, Councillor Bezic, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Curry, and myself for. Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. If we can invite councillors Naji and Awada back in, please. Councillor Barlow, I assume you want to discuss confidential parts of the confidential report? Yeah, so councillors, a procedural motion that we reorder the business paper such that CWA 24.048 is dealt with at the end of the session. Moved Councillor Barlow, seconded Councillor Awada. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. Move to item CP 24.024, de-amalgamation community consultation results. Councillors, do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Kasim, seconded Councillor Discu. Councillor Kasim.
Thank you. Yes, so it's very clear that the community survey which the council arranged of the entire Bayside Council area, from that it's very clear that overall there is very limited appetite amongst residents for de-amalgamation. It seems that after eight years, everyone's more or less accepted decision of a previous government, just get on with it, and it's basically a low priority or no priority. However, it's also clear from the survey results that there is a significant minority of residents, particularly in Ward 1 and to some extent Ward 2, for whom the prospect of de-amalgamation remains a live issue. I therefore think it's incumbent upon us to acknowledge this and to respond to this with as full and transparent account of what has happened since amalgamation as possible, particularly with regard to the funds brought into Bayside Council from the former Rockdale and Botany councils, respectively, as well as what has happened to the funds which have been levied since amalgamation from the parts of Bayside Council that were formerly Rockdale and Botany Council. The good news, as we all know, is that we have that information. Fortunately, we have highly competent council staff who have been diligently compiling this information from the start, ensuring that there can be a clear audit trail of where the money has come from, where it's been, where it can go, where it can be spent legally. This information, as we know, has been reported to councillors. And I think it's appropriate that we share this information without reservation with our residents, because indeed we have nothing to hide. We have no reason to hide this information. We know that the council has been very well managed, and as I say, this information is well set out. We, as a group, discussed it and discussed ways of improving the way it's set out even so that it can be even clearer than it already is. So I actually think that, you know, rather than hide it, it really is on the contrary necessary that, given the clear ongoing interest in this subject by a section of the community, we have every reason to share the information, certainly with them, but also for reasons of transparency with every resident in the LGA. Accordingly, I would like to, as I move this motion, I'd actually like to add a couple of other points. So the first point is just to note and accept, but the amendment I would like to add to it is that we publish, that council publish, I think it's up there, on the website, the full report, and also the most recent report provided to councillors detailing the record of income and expenditure for council since the amalgamation, reported in accordance with the boundaries of the former Rockdale and Botany councils. And that further we provide a direct link to this information in a specific notice to residents reporting on the community consultations regarding de-amalgamation, so that we are fully transparent in this matter.
So like it's him, Councillor Naji.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I pulled this item first, and I was on my feet first, but I will accept. Maybe, yeah, I did stand up. I was first, but if this happens in the future, I'll recommend maybe my glasses. But anyway, what I'd like to do, either an amendment, which I pass that on, if I'm able to. Sorry? Okay, it can be a foreshadow, but maybe if my colleagues can see it, they'd know what's probably the foreshadow is all about, then we'll be able to speak. Thank you. Yeah, can we read it? Can you read it, Mr. Mayor?
The motion from Councillor Naji. Do we have a seconder? Sure, Councillor Strong. That the de-amalgamation business case prepared earlier this year be referred to the Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Ron Honing, for forwarding to the New South Wales Boundary Commission for their assessment, and that two, that any costs associated with the assessment of the business case and going forward, all costs related to the de-amalgamation process be funded by the New South Wales Government, so that the ratepayers of Bayside are not financially disadvantaged.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reputation is Mr. Factual. I'm just going to speak factual and wouldn't mean any disrespect to councillors that were there probably 2-3 terms ago. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Here we are, yet again. Another item of business on the agenda, or in the agenda, for de-amalgamation. It really is quite extraordinary. Mr. Mayor and councillors, Bayside Council has been controlled by Labor Party since its inception in 2017, with countless opportunities to change the boundaries and 7 years of proceeding with the amalgamation motions. For anyone that is well across these details, with respect, Councillor Curry and Councillor Morrissey on record with their mate, the Minister for Local Government, Mr. Ron Honing, continuously used the amalgamation as a campaign platform. This current process for it, formulated by Minister Honing, really is quite bizarre. For anyone across these details, it will cost each ratepayer, each Bayside ratepayer, upwards of $600 each household. With the current cost of living crisis, $600 can be better spent on things that matter, such as groceries, rent, or even a mortgage. Notwithstanding this bizarre, partisan and designed to fail process, if Minister Honing, Councillor Curry and Councillor Morrissey were really genuine about wanting the amalgamation, then Council should consider going through the Boundaries Commission. The Boundaries Commission is independent of any political organisation and will determine facts, what Bayside and this Council should ideally look like. This process will take the cost out of the hands of Bayside and back to the state government. Now, if Ron Honing was really serious about this, then let's ensure that we draw up a council proposal to the Boundaries Commission, of which Minister Honing needs to sign off on himself. Let's cut the chase. This motion is ridiculous and just keeps appearing on the agenda. It is a waste of time, as we know it is not serious, but rather a virtue signal for just another line in the campaign brochure. And Mr Mayor and councillors, with the amalgamation comes the changing of staff arrangements. It's not fair on the staff not knowing in the wilderness about whether or not their jobs are safe if the amalgamation goes ahead. But also imagine with the staff whom work very hard for our council and residents are wasting their time working on this agenda that is designed to fail. They could be spending better time focusing on our potholes, our parks, our facilities, our amenities, but instead, the amalgamation. Regardless, please consider these points when voting tonight. I just want to put this to bed, and if someone is serious about the amalgamation, let the state government deal with it and out of the hands of council, ratepayers' money. Thank you.
Councillor Saranovsky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to remind my fellow councillors and the residents watching live on YouTube. We are now 3 council elections into this council. I stand before you with a sense deep of responsibility and, to be blunt, with a profound sense of unease about the decisions we are now considering. These decisions are not just matters of governance. They are ultimately about our integrity, our accountability, and our commitment to the people who elected us. We are currently in the process of exploring the potential deamalgamation of Bayside Council, the merger that brought together the councils of Rockdale and Botany Bay. This decision, which has led us to the point where we are considering to conduct a business case to potentially demerge, raises several questions. Questions that need to be answered in full transparency before we proceed further. We are all aware that these are incredibly tough times for our residents. We're in the midst of a cost of living crisis with inflation, housing pricing, and essential costs hitting household budgets hard. Our constituents are struggling to make ends meet, yet less than 3 months after our election, when many of us campaigned on promising keeping rates as low as possible and ensuring fiscal responsibility, we now find ourselves facing the prospect of a substantial financial burden being imposed on our residents, at a time when we should be advocating for relief and support for our residents. It would be a mistake of the highest order, and one we, the councillors, would not be able to defend if the community chooses to hold us accountable. The proposed business case for a deamalgamation, which comes with a hefty price tag of $300,000, is already an expenditure that could be seen as extravagant, given the financial climate we are currently navigating. But even more concerning is the potential cost of the demerger itself. If the business case is successful, the total cost could be upwards of $50 million, with the potential planned projects and programs as a casualty of being severely impacted and delayed. Not only do we put the spotlight on ourselves, with media articles, new wards, new administration buildings, new council services, refurbishing and rebranding the entire council, but most importantly, bestowing confusion amongst our residents, especially in a time when we need unification, not division. Although I believe it's too late with that approach, with some online resident community groups already dividing us. Let us think critically about who will bear the brunt of this cost and time. We cannot expect the residents of Bayside Council to foot the bill for a deamalgamation that, while perhaps well-intentioned, will lead to another financial strain on their already tight budgets. Our proposal suggests that we may need to impose a one-off charge of $600 on each resident. This is not a small sum for many. This money could have gone to paying food, rent, utilities, essential services that are increasingly unaffordable. Let me be clear to you all. The results are in. 79% voted in favour of remaining in Bayside Council. That is the overwhelming majority. Now, albeit a small sample size, numbers don't lie. And the number 0 isn't a lie either, because that is the number of how many successful demergers have occurred across Sydney Metropolitan Councils. Through the General Manager, correct me if I'm wrong about that. Furthermore, we could simply look at Canterbury Bankstown Council, which pushed for a demerger, and once the council saw the costs of the demerger, guess what? They pulled the plug because they didn't want the residents to be affected by the costs and sought better purposes of allocating the substantial figures in better areas to best represent and support their residents. But we must remind ourselves, how did we get here in the first place? This was a Liberal state government initiative that pushed all these amalgamations, even though the reluctance of both former Rockdale and Botany Council. Not only did the Liberal state government at the time reject the interests of both councils standing alone, but even rejecting a merger preference when, in November 2015, a memorandum that was signed by the then current Liberal Mayor of Cogra Council, which even called the Liberal state government it's bewildering of the state government to ignore the outcomes of its own consultation process, which was undertaken at a significant expense, and the views of most local elected representatives. Guess what? It very much was bewildering of them. This was also signed by Rockdale Council's Labor Mayor, Emeritus Mayor Bill Saravinovsky. Both mayors signed within the presence of Liberal federal member for Barton at the time as well. This was seen as bipartisanship, not only across party lines, but with the goal of preserving and staying true to the deep and strong identity of the St. George region, from the past to present and from suburb to suburb. I support the idea of pursuing the amalgamation, only if the state government steps in to fund the full cost of this process, albeit through our local members to Heffron, Rockdale and Cogra. The residents of Bayside should not be made to bear the financial burden of this decision, particularly when they are under such pressure. It is the responsibility of the state government to ensure that any potential demerger is funded through means that do not burden the local population, who already face economic challenges that we, as a council, are meant to address, not exacerbate. I urge we must think carefully about the long-term implications of the choices we are making. Our constituents entrusted us with their votes, not for us to saddle them with unnecessary debt, but for us to act in their best interests, not to burden them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Saravinovsky. Councillors, further discussion? No, fair enough. We have a motion before us from Councillor Kassim. Councillor Kassim, right of reply.
Well, it sounds like we've got a bit of a consensus happening here, which is that we will actually accept the report, which has indicated, as everyone has said, that there is an overwhelming support in the council area for the council to continue as it is. My amendment simply allows for transparency for everybody so that we can all be educated about the costs which have been described here before by everyone. So I think we have a consensus. I'm hoping so. I commend the motion with the three parts to you. My motion.
Thank you, Councillor Kassim. And I'd just like to say, I mean, I don't think there's any prospect of the state government paying more than they've committed to, which I think is quite a small amount of the de-amalgamation costs. I don't think this is worth continuing pursuing. Ultimately, I think it's just, as Councillor Saravinovsky and Councillor Nagy both stated, this just is placing costs on our ratepayers if we continue down this path. So, councillors, all those in favour of Councillor Kassim, sorry, Councillor Morrissey.
Sorry, but just looking at the two motions, I think both have some merit. Perhaps Councillor Nagy, would you consider putting number 2 item from this one into yours, which is basically just publishing costs and expenditure on the website, which I believe is that available?
That's my motion.
Yeah, but he's opting that into...
That's the motion.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Councillor Douglas.
Well, I was going to sort of suggest the same thing, but in the reverse, that we could potentially put in Councillor Nagy's amendments to this amendment and collapse the whole thing together.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I can be helpful, Councillor Kassim had the right of reply. It's going to go to a vote. If her motion is lost, then the full shadow will come forward, and I'm willing to make some changes to that motion.
Sure. Councillors, all those in favour? Aye. All those against? No. Declare that lost, I think. Councillors? Division? Councillor Poulos? Sorry, can people speak up?
No.
Councillor Douglas? Councillor Barlow? The motion of Councillor Kassim and Councillor Disco. Aye. Sorry, Councillor Poulos was yes as well. Councillor Awada? Councillor Disco? Councillor Naji? Councillor Brederhoft? What, sorry? Yes. Councillor Sabranovsky? Councillor Kassim? Councillor Strong? Councillor Boudeleau? Councillor Bezic? Councillor Morrissey? Abstained. Councillor Curry? Myself
Can I just
for...
change mine to against?
What, sorry?
Change it to against.
Against?
Sorry.
Confused. Declare... Sorry.
I think there might be some confusion. Some people may have voted not knowing what they're voting for or voting against. Can I just be clear that what the motion before us all is to accept the results of the survey and simply to make those transparent, along with all the information which has been made available to us all about how this council has responsibly and competently managed the funds from the former Rockdale and the former Botany councils, put them into different buckets, etc., and make that all transparent for our residents. That's what it is. So it's basically it's accepting that we just accept this report, that we don't in fact call for any further expenditure, except insofar as to publicise the work which has been done.
Yeah, councillors, sorry, I don't think we need further discussion unless, were any councillors confused about what they were voting for? Councillor Sabranovsky? Sorry, Councillor Kassim, can you turn your microphone off, please?
Yes, I had a bit of confusion, so I would be one of those councillors that would like to change their vote.
No problem. So that's 4. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The motion is still lost. Thank you, councillors. That'll be recorded. We move to Councillor Naji and Councillor Strong's foreshadowed motion.
Yeah. Look, Mr Mayor, about transparency, and I can't speak on behalf of everyone, I'm sure every other councillor is the same about transparency. So I'm more than happy to put the number 2 of Councillor Kassim moving into my foreshadow motion. And my foreshadow motion is pretty clear, and maybe we can add one more, that this will never come back to council about the amalgamation, and put the... No, sorry, look, I put my hand up that the Liberal Party, in my opinion, stuffed up on the amalgamation, but now Labor is in government and they have the opportunity to change that if they wish. So I just want to take out the burden from Bayside Council and their staff and the financial burden on the residents and put it back on the state government. It's a state government issue.
Sorry,
it was with
Councillor Naji, can I ask, if the intention is that council no longer continues to raise this as an issue, I think
That's
that should
right.
be clear in the motion, and currently I think it looks like
Yeah,
we're
if
supporting
we can add that,
de-amalgamation.
and that's it. I'm hoping I'll get the support from...
So maybe that the...
Can we add that?
Maybe that it says that council does not continue to pursue de-amalgamation unless any costs associated.
That's right. Thank you.
Under point 2. That should be at the start of point 2. So that council does not continue to...
B, number 1 is, sorry, to put number 1 as for the report to be received and noted, and that's the committee's recommendation.
Yep.
And just change the others 2, 3, 4,
Yep.
and so
So
on.
we keep the original point 1.
Yep.
And that point 2 becomes the current point 1, and then we go that council does not continue to pursue the de-amalgamation unless, and then what is currently under point 3. There we go. So, councillors, I think we then have 1, that the report be received and noted, 2, that the de-amalgamation business case prepared earlier this year be referred to the Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Ron Honig. I think just for consideration, I don't think we're requesting him that he takes action, are we? It's just if he wants to. 3, that council does not continue to pursue the de-amalgamation. Sorry, can we not scroll while I'm reading? Up. Thank you. Not continue to pursue the de-amalgamation unless any costs associated with the assessment of the business case and going forward all costs related to the de-amalgamation process be funded by the New South Wales Government so that the ratepayers at Bayside are not financially disadvantaged. And that 3, the council have published on its website the full report and also the most recent report provided to councillors detailing the record of income and expenditure of the council since de-amalgamation. I think that's since amalgamation, reported in accordance with the boundaries of the former Rockdale and Botany councillors. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about number 3. That council, I can't see that. Yeah, that's right. Number 3 to be taken out. Is that, I'll just, even with my glasses, I'm not able. Can we read number 3 again, please?
That council does not continue to pursue the de-amalgamation unless any costs associated with the assessment of the business case and going forward all costs related to the de-amalgamation process be funded by the New South Wales Government so that the ratepayers at Bayside are not financially disadvantaged.
So that, clarification that this one come back unless the state government pays for the de-amalgamation.
Yes, that's
correct?
that we're not doing anything further unless they pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Levy, thank you.
Councillors, any discussion? Councillor.
I don't really understand the point of point 2, that the de-amalgamation business case prepared earlier this year be referred to the Minister for Local Government for forwarding to the New South Wales Boundaries Commission for the assessment. What's actually the purpose of that point?
So, sorry, I agree with that, Councillor Naji. I think if is perhaps the point that we send this on, but I think as per what I'd suggest that we don't forward it for forwarding to the Boundaries Commission, we just send it on. And it's available to the Minister and he can do with it as he will. Is that acceptable, Councillor Naji?
Sorry, Mayor, if I can be super quick. In terms of number 3, I just asked Councillor Naji if he would consider withdrawing that just in an effort to try and get the motion across the line. I think you'll find there would be support for the motion if the 3rd point was not there. Thank you.
Councillor Naji? The question is to remove the point around not pursuing the de-amalgamation.
My intent is I don't really want it to come back to council anymore. You know, the de-amalgamation, unless the state government pays for it.
Thank you, Councillor Naji. So I think that's a no, Councillor Boudelet. Councillors, further discussion? Councillor Douglas.
I just want to make sure that point 4 says since amalgamation rather than de-amalgamation.
Absolutely, as read into the record. Councillors, further discussion? There's no further discussion. Councillors, going once, going twice. Councillor Naji, right of reply.
Thank you.
Happy with that. Councillors, all those in favour of the motion? Aye. All those against? I declare that carried. Division. Councillor Poulos.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm hard on the staff. Councillor Douglas. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Awada. Councillor Dusku. That was a 4. Councillor Naji. 4. Councillor Brederhoft. 4. Councillor Saranovsky. Councillor Kassim. That was 4. Councillor Strong. Councillor Boudelet. Councillor Bezic. Councillor Morrissey. Against, Councillor Curry. And myself for. I declare it carried, councillors. Move to item CP 24.025, customer experience statistics. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Awada. Councillor Poulos, any discussion, councillors?
Just a question for the director, Richard Richard, Director of City Performance. I'm not sure if I've missed draft operational statistics in a separate attachment. I couldn't find them in the agenda. However, I was unable to actually see the material. Can this information be provided?
Mr. Sheridan.
Through you, Chair, yeah, the information can be provided. I think it was in the form of a presentation, but yeah, we'll provide that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's probably worth noting to just put it up as an attachment to the report. Thank you. Councillors, any further discussion? All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. We move to item CWA 24.048, Brighton Bars Building tenant update. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder? What was that, sorry? Moved Councillor Naji, seconded Councillor Douglas. Yeah, so I'll do a procedural motion now. So councillors, do we have a motion to move into confidential session to deal with the item? Moved Councillor Awada, seconded Councillor Saravinovsky. All those in favour, all those against, declare that carried. The public gallery, in accordance with section 10A4 of the Local Government Act and Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I invite members of the public to make representations to whether or not this part of the meeting should be closed to the public to consider the confidential items. Line. Thank you, councillors. I call on the General Manager to announce the resolutions carried in the closed session.
Councillors, the resolution was not altered from that printed on the business paper. It's there before you. It notes a number of dates and the balances that should be brought down at those dates, and that a further report come back to council in February giving you an update on how the arrears have been addressed over the next couple of months.
Thank you, General Manager. And there being no further items, I declare the meeting closed at 8 p.m. Merry Christmas, councillors.